Hello, hello, and hello. Looks like we're live everywhere, and thank you everybody on especially Facebook for your patience. When my app wasn't working on Friday, the live button just completely disappeared. But I got some good advice to uninstall the app and reinstall, and I think iPhones had an update, and when it all came back, it was there. So that worked out really well. And thank you for your patience. And I'm happy to be back here doing our Guanyin practice. So let's see here. There's my book. So here's today's form of Guanyin that we're going to work with. Friday, we worked with Guanyin with the lotus. Today, we're going to work with Guanyin of pure water. Keyword is blessings. Here we see Guanyin floating across the clouds, holding a jeweled bowl filled with pure water in her left hand, and a willow twig, which she has dipped into the water, in her right hand. Sprinkling the earth below her, she provides the land with dew and rain in times of drought, relieving the suffering people who call upon her. Her bowl may also contain medicine to help needy beings at all levels of consciousness. Here, Guanyin offers us purifying water during difficult times. At a Chinese temple, a monk or priest could dip the Guanyin figurines that her devotees bring by taking a bless the Guanyin figurines that the devotees bring by taking a willow twig, dipping it into water, and sprinkling the water over the statues. Water is the most precious element. It is sustenance for plants and animals and all other living beings. In Asia, water is considered a symbol of prosperity. Feng Shui, the ancient Chinese art of bringing harmony and balance to one's environment, emphasizes the right placement of water features in a house or in a garden to enhance occupants' prosperity. The Chinese word for prosperity is itself connected to water. It consists of two characters. On the left, the character represents a person dancing joyfully, and on the right, the character contains the three elements that are important for attaining prosperity: water, the sun, and the field. And then we have a quote from the Lotus Sutra. If living beings encounter weariness or peril, immeasurable suffering pressing them down, the power of the perceiver of sound's wonderful wisdom can save them from the sufferings of the world. Connect with Guanyin of pure water and ask her to quench your thirst and to bless you with her waters. Imagine her blessing your drinks. Oh, I have my tea. Asking Guanyin to bless the tea that's in this mug and all of the water that I will drink today, and all of the drinks, especially water-based drinks like juice, tea, etc., things that are not soda and stuff like that, but asking for all water, tea, and other things that are drunk by everybody who watches this to be blessed by Guanyin today for the alleviation of suffering. So whether you're at home or traveling, you can charge water with the balancing energies of healing and compassion. So let me show you Guanyin and her water bowl. Here she is. And then for you guys, there she is. And there we go. Okay. So Guanyin of healing waters. Today, let's really pay attention to making sure that we drink adequate water and that we bless it before we drink it. And let's also make sure today to reach out and ask for Guanyin to heal us and bless us, I just need to hold this board flat so that I can roll this stone. Ask her to heal us and bless us with greater balance, prosperity, and harmony in our lives. And for the healing of the waters of the earth, the healing of the waters of this planet, the healing of the oceans and the rivers, for the restoration of the proper balance of moisture in our environment, especially to end the terrible wildfire phenomena that's been happening everywhere, the terrible hurricane phenomena that's been happening everywhere. And so let's receive, what is our divination today? Oh, rolled off. And rolled off again. Okay. It's almost like, okay, I don't want to just place it. Okay, I'm just going to drop it. Nope, totally went off. Okay. It's between 7 and 8, but it was more on 8, so we'll look at 8. Living the Tao. So this is the Manho Kwok translation. In the forest, the pines and cypresses grow straight up, and neither rain nor wind, snow nor frost can harm them. One day to come, you'll see what it was all for, and these will be the pillars of the temple of community. Huh, that's really an interesting poem. And the illustration that goes along with it is amazing. It shows a little meditator sitting, but totally held in one of Guanyin's hands with her long fingernails. So now let's see what is the translation from the other oracle here. I think I need to get some, I think I'm going to bring home some bamboo stir sticks from my store for coffee, and I'm going to make myself a set of divination sticks so that I don't have, so that it's clearer. I like the board, the divination board, but it's a little small for what I'm trying to do. Okay, verse 8. In a dense forest, pines and firs grow lush, standing tall through rain and storm intense. Then, suddenly, a swan sails through the sky, signaling recognition for your resilience. The outlook for this poem is excellent. The road ahead is smooth, leading to ultimate success. The crop will yield a bountiful harvest and the clan will thrive. Imagery of a lush forest of pine and fir, a sign of nobility. Very interesting. We didn't have the swan in the first translation, did we? It was only in the second. That's the Chris Wenchali translation. Well, very interesting. I think it's a great divination. It's like, oh, good. Okay, things are going to smooth out. Things are going to be okay. I'm glad to hear that. That feels really uplifting to hear. But I also feel like there's a connection here between Guanyin of the pure water offerings that we read about, and then this divination with the lush forest withstanding the rain and the storms. Almost like looking at this dichotomy we have around water. When water is out of balance, like here in California, the water has been so out of balance. The weather has been so dry. There's not been enough rain. There's not been enough snow. I feel anxious about fire season because of it. But then, on the other side, there's also all of the fact that when a storm comes, it can down trees after this most recent snowfall and the dry years we've had before. I went out, I had to go drive down to Redding. So I went through the area of, the Shasta National Forest and beyond, and there were so many broken and fallen trees. And you could see that it had happened because the snow was so heavy on the trees that it weighted them down, and they were so dry and fragile that they broke. And also a bunch of burned trees had fallen. And all of that is just like watching that process of decay, that sometimes things like weigh you down and will create their own process of decay. Other time, so water is this interesting thing. It's like, okay, both beneficial and needed, but also when it's out of balance, it causes damage. And the hurricanes, they've caused so much damage. So today, let's really look to the waters in our own bodies and try to balance them, because that's the only thing we can really control. We can't really control what's going on in the world around us so much, but we can control what's going on here. So let's work on balancing, having good intake of water today, grateful intake of water, blessing that water, trying to balance emotions, trying to balance our thoughts, and allowing the water to truly be a healing factor within us. And then to take that feeling that we can have of relief and balance and try to bring it out into the world, flowing it out humbly like water. That is our short bit for today, if that's what you were here for. And thank you for coming. And hopefully I'm going to make myself some divination sticks, because I think they'll work better. But now let's begin Guanyin practice. We'll start with 3 prostrations before the shrine. And let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention. Julie is out searching for her daughter, who has been potentially kidnapped and trafficked. May Natalie come home safe, sound, healthy, and well. And let's recite the four immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering for Guan Shi Yin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Om Ahum. 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 Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guan Yin, remain until the end of samsaric existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. 108 recitations of Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa, awakening that part of ourselves that connects with Guan Yin of the pure water and sending waves of healing throughout our own bodies that are comprised mostly of water and out into the waters of the world. Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa. Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guan Shi Yin Pu Sa. 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 Namo Guanshin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanshin Pusa. And remembering that we have the capacity to be like water in the world, to take the shape of whatever we're poured into. Let's recall these words of Yeshe Tsogyal. Wherever there is space, 5 elements pervade. Wherever the 5 elements, the homes of living beings. Wherever living beings, karma and defilements. Wherever is defilement, my compassion is also. Wherever is the need of beings, there I am to help them. To the hungry, I was heaps of food and all good things, and thus I brought them joy. To the cold and the freezing, I was fire and sun warmth, thus their joy. To the poor and needy, I was wealth and riches, thus their joy. To the naked, I was every kind of raiment, thus their joy. To the childless, I was sons and daughters, thus their joy. To those who sought a lover, I was a loving and attractive consort, and thus their joy. To those who wanted magic powers, I gave prowess in the 8 great cities, and thus I brought them joy. To the sick, I was their remedy, and thus their joy. To the anguished, I was all their mind desired, and thus I was their joy. To those hard-pressed by the punishments of despots, I was the loving friend to lead them to the land of peace, and I was thus their joy. To those in fear of wild beasts, I was a haven, and thus their joy. To those who fell into the depths, I was their drawing out, and thus their joy. To those tormented in the fires, I was a quenching stream, and thus their joy. To those in prey to any of the elements, I was their medicine, and thus their joy. For those who could not see, I was their eyes and brought them joy, and for those who could not walk, I was feet, and thus their joy. I was a tongue for those who could not speak, and thus I brought them joy. To those in fear of death, I granted immortality, and thus I was their joy. I led the dying on the path of transference and brought them joy. To those who wandered in the bardo state, I was their spirit guide, bringing them to joy. I cooled the burning heat and warmed the cold of those lost in the realms of hell. Howsoever they were tortured, I changed myself to shield them, being thus their joy. To those who lingered in the land of hungry ghosts, I was their food and drink, and thus their joy. I was freedom from oppression and servitude for those caught in the wordless state of beasts, and thus I brought them joy. Those beings born in places of war, I protected them from strife and brought them joy. I was a truce from endless conflict for the demigods, and was thus their joy. The jealous gods I guarded from their bitter fall, and I was thus their joy. I shielded all from everything that tortured them, and was their every joy. And now 108 recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum, contemplating how we might be the waters of joy today. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my blessed teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life prayer for Lama Dechen Yeshe Wangmo. Om Sosti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Jungye and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of Supreme Bliss, Yeshe Wangmo, be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings, so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And let's dedicate the merits. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May we carry the essence of Guanyin in our hearts. Namo Guanxin Pusa. And we close with a bow to Guanyin, bow to one another, and bow to the inner teacher. And wishing everyone a good day. Let's try to flow as best as we can today. Be back tomorrow. Bye.